Hi, I'm Carl Fine. I am a volunteer with the Bloomington Historical Society, and I'd like to welcome you to the Old Town Hall Museum. Here at the Old Town Hall Museum in Bloomington, we have many artifacts and displays about the rich history of the Bloomington area. We're located inside the historic Old Town Hall building at Penn and Old Shakopee. So look up our open hours on our website and come on in sometime. Today I wanted to highlight one of our oldest exhibits in the museum, this dugout canoe. Dugout canoes were one of two major types of canoes that Native Americans used in Minnesota, as you may know. Birch bark canoes and dugout canoes were the two types. Birch bark canoes, of course, required the presence of birch trees to make, and that they were not present everywhere. Dugout canoes were, like this one, were made from three types of wood: cottonwood, basswood, and silver maple. Those are trees that grew in river bottoms and grew to a size that would be usable for a dugout canoe. We believe that this one was made from cottonwood. Now, as you can see, this has a nice long length that would be suitable for several people and gear. We believe that the sides came up a little bit longer. You can see there's degradation on some of it, or a little bit higher. But this canoe was built centuries ago, and we've had a couple different assessments of the age, which I will get to in a moment. So this was discovered by George Hopkins in 1967. George Hopkins was an early historian and volunteer with the Bloomington Historical Society. This was discovered in the Minnesota River Valley on the Bloomington side in the vicinity of Lyndale Avenue. The canoe was extracted from the mud and the dirt and hauled to the Old Town Hall, where it was kept on a bed of sand in the basement for several years. When the Bloomington Historical Society volunteers at the time discovered this, they did consult the Minnesota Historical Society to come look at it. And it was the Bloomington Historical Society in those days, before we could do a radiocarbon dating, they assessed it as a 1600s era creation date. Well, that was updated in 2014, when for the first time that we know of, radiocarbon dating was done, at which time the assessment was changed to 1800s, the early 1800s. At the same time, the people who did that assessment had collected a number of other dugout canoes from around Minnesota and had dated them at similar ages and some much older, but this one was assessed to be in the middle of the 1800s. So to recap the preservation that was done about this canoe, shortly after it was discovered in the late 60s, as I said, the initial preservation was to use a chemical advised by the Minnesota Historical Society and to keep it on a bed of sand. Then, between 2007 and 2010, better techniques were advised by another advisory group, and the preservation was refined, at which time the sand was washed off, a new and better preservative was added, and this case was built that you see right here. And since 2010, this has been on display in our Old Town Hall Museum. So I hope you found this little glance at the dugout canoe interesting. We have much more for you to see. We hope that you can come in and see the many more interesting exhibits we have to show you, and the discussion that you can have with our friendly docents. So stop in soon.